Greetings and salutations, my name is JW608 and today I am playing StarMade. And I want to talk about some more basics, like we're getting back to the basics. And this basic today is turrets. Just the absolute basics of turrets. Alright, what do you need for turrets? Well, you need an entity upon which you will dock the turret. We're going to go with this quick and dirty platform I made, which has, what, 500,000 power, and is a 30 by something or another block here. And the other things you're going to need are, let's see, you're going to need some sort of weapon system. You'll need rail dockers. Well, you will need rail dockers. You're going to need some rails, specifically the turret axis. Probably some mass enhancers. Let's see, what else are we going to need? We're going to need weapon systems of some sort. We're going to go with not a beam. Let's go with a cannon. And of course, we're going to need a Bobby AI module. All right. And we're going to throw a few shields on here to demonstrate some things. All right, first of all, what do you do? Well, you need a rail turret axis. This is the axis, the pivot point of your turret. Or you don't have to dock a turret here. You can dock anything you want here, and it'll spin. Now you could come in here and create a ship, and then give it a rail docker, and then adjust your rail docker here, and then try to get it there. Now we're docked on, but we're on a weird orientation, and if I was any further away, I would have to fly and put thrusters on it, so this is not the best way. Although you'll notice I have left-right turning, but nothing up-down. I'm moving my mouse violently up and down, and I'm just getting my side-to-side movement. That's because I only have one axis. All right, so let's undock this and get rid of it altogether. Yes. And let's hop back. Oh, I'm upside down now. There we go. Hop back in here. I'll show you a better way to place a docked entity. You come over here to your advanced build stuff and go to docking, create docking. So it give you this red square. Point at a rail, specifically in our case, a turret axis, and click. That'll place an imaginary docker. Now you can come somewhere else and click again. That will place a core, except now you need to spin your mouse wheel to choose the direction. And for a turret, direction is paramount. You can have it face any way you want, but I tend to have it line up with its turret axis. So we want this portion to be the top. If we had the arrow down here, this would be the top, and it'd be looking upside down. We want to have this the top, so the bottom of the rail, or the bottom of this entity, will be the top of the docked entity. And we want it to point that way, because that's the same way the axis is doing. Click, and you can name it, or use its fake name. And now we have a docked entity here. Now, another tip when in build mode, if you look at an entity and middle click, usually by depressing your scroll wheel, I mean physically depressing it, not like depressing it. Anyway, now I am in this entity, the first rail. Actually, we are going to get some colors. Let's go with red and teal, because no one uses teal. I like teal. So we're going to now build on here, just arbitrarily, and show you, yes, we're in the build mode for this. I am clicking wildly on the station. It doesn't work. But if I middle click on the station, I can build on the station, but not on the docked entity. You must be in the entity in order for it to build on it. All right. So you're spinning around. Uh-oh. Well, I want to go back to center. Press C, and that'll realign the turret. You can also realign turrets by pressing, in build mode or fly mode or whatever, pressing delete, coming down to Rail System Collective, reset all turrets. You can also undock all turrets, but probably don't want to do that. So right now, we could make a turret by slapping on a weapon computer. And you know what? This is not a good example because there's an idiosyncrasy with this. We're going to use a damage beam. For a couple reasons. We can see a little better and it's not broken. So we're going to use a damage beam here. Oh, not the computer. The beams. And now we're here. We can come here, drag this in, and now we can turn on the left-right axis and go pew, 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 pew. And we have a turret. Now, this is a manned turret. You cannot, or the computer can't do anything with it. So let's rectify that by using a Bobby AI. We plop down Bobby somewhere, preferably somewhere close to, or even better yet, in line with your output. For whatever reason, it helps its aim. Now, you look at your Bobby AI, which kind of looks like Hal, if you can see his face, and you press R, and you can only have one Bobby AI element or block on any entity. All right, up here, we don't want it to be a ship. We want it to be a fleet. We don't want it to be a ship. All right, so let's back out. And we want it to be a turret. The Bobby AI interface is glitchy. It's glitchy, and it's I'm not going to say it's broken, but it doesn't work right. So you have to fiddle with it till it says turret. You don't really want it to be remote control, although you can do that, and that's really cool, but that's a little more advanced. You cannot activate a turret while you're in it. And let's see, fire mode, we want simultaneous. You can do a volley. That depends on how you shoot, or it tells the for cannon and missile whether you want all the guns to fire at once or you want them to fire sequentially. All at once is fine. And then you have your missile damage prioritization. So if this is set to fire at a missile, which only cannon actually works against missiles, if you recall, then this will look for the highest damage missile, the lowest, or whatever it wants. I typically leave it at highest, although this will not function as a AMS or anti-missile system turret. We'll talk about those later as well. And you can specify what you want it to aim at. You can aim at anything hostile, anything you've selected, hostile or not. That's a very dangerous one, so watch out for it. Ships, stations, missiles, astronauts. I typically leave it at any. Now, if you're inside of a station or ship and you want one that'll only fire at intruders, set it to astronaut. Stick it in your hallway and watch them as they get fried as they pass by. So now let's hop into the main here. We have a deactivated turret. So if you come over to this panel, the stats panel in your advanced build mode, and under docked, we will come down and we can say turrets on. So this will turn on all the AI for turrets. How do we know this? Well, we are going to, first of all, we are going to build some sort of protection so I don't get fried. There we go, and some shield. And as with all docked entities, a turret does not have its own power. It draws power from the mothership or its parent, or whatever you want to call it, its master, if you will. And it has no shields. It derives that from its mothership as well. So now we have a fully functional turret. One-axis turret, which isn't the most useful, but we'll get there. So, let's mass spawn a ship, add... You know what, I did those turrets, the extra, but let's just throw in a guppy. Faction, -1. -1 is the pirate faction, so now we're going to have a pirate, and it's going to try to shoot the pirate. Notice it follows it, but it's a beam turret, and it also has one axis, so it's freaking out because it's not going to do a very good job because it has to wait for the bad guy to line up with him. And the beam turrets, I found, are not very good at hitting moving things, which is very odd because that's what I use to hit moving things and when I shoot. Alright, so this is not the best turret on Earth, so let's hop into it and let's improve it. Well, let's rip all of this out and let's make a 2-axis turret. So, in order to do that, you need your base. This is our turret base. And the base needs a rail. The rail typically you want to be perpendicular to your first dock, or not your first rail, your turret axis rail actually. So you don't want them on the same plane because that doesn't make any sense. So at a 90-degree angle, and looking in the same direction. That's fairly important. Let's create another docking. And I'm going to put the core over here. And we want it to face this way. All right. So now, when I hop into this one, I have all 3 axes, or planes of motion. No, 2 planes, 3 axes. Planes? Anyway, I can move around like that. 2 axes. And the construction of your turret is the exact same. And we'll slap a bobby on there and tell it it's a turret. Hop to the mothership and turret's on. And notice it isn't twitching as wildly. It's not doing very well, but it's not twitching erratically, trying to line up with the target, and it's now able to track it on the, I guess, the Y and Z axes. It can track it up and down and left and right on 2 axes. So that is the absolute basics of a turret. This is a horrible turret, but it is a turret. And let's hop back in here, which turned off the AI. Hopping into it turns off the AI. Now you're going to want to be careful about how you place blocks. You don't want any blocks that are going to impact with the base or the mothership or something like that. Notice it won't even let me put a block here, because if I line up and put a block here, I just made me a single axis turret again. See, I'm moving my mouse up and down and it'll stop me. So you have to be careful about that. All right. And you can have a 3-axis turret if you really want it. The dock chain is limited to 25 entities, so you could have I think including the mothership. So you could have a 24-axis turret. It'll do you absolutely no good, and after about 2 axes, it starts getting weird. I think I've done 3 or 4. Anyway, after so many, it starts getting weird. Now you can, as I've said before, man this target yourself. Or turret yourself, I'm sorry. You can man the target if you want to. That's far too far to be shooting. Anyway, so one game mode that was suggested and never got to try out because I could never get more than 1 person online at the same time was having a ship or ship battles where no AI turrets, but turrets were actually manned by crew. So you had the main pilot, and then the guns of the main ship were turrets, primarily turrets, or only turrets, actually, in the case I was thinking of. And having players man the turrets, and I thought that would be a fun thing to do. Never panned out. It might one day. And also, if you can do like a 360 thing, if your dimensions are right. There we go. Dimensions are right. There we go. So that's always fun. Anywho, these are the absolute basics of turrets. Tomorrow I will get into our next episode. I will get into some more specifics. We've seen how to construct them. We're going to talk about more of their idiosyncrasies, and then later we'll also talk about AMS turrets, or anti-missile turrets, as they're often called. I will often misspeak and call them anti-matter turrets, but they're not. They're anti-missile turrets. Anywho, I have been GW608. This has been StarMade, and I will do you cats later. I didn't even talk about fixed turrets. That's for another day, I guess.